So this one goes out to all the nerds amongst us. You're aware you can control your Kemper Player from either Windows, Mac, iOS in this case, on a tablet, and any changes you make will be reflected between devices. As a bit of an upgrade, what I've got here is a custom built Midi control pedal. And the handy thing with this one is we've got a display here to tell us what bank and what preset we're on. So as I change between the various presets, the slots change. So slot 2, slot 3 shown on the screen. And I can also change bank. If I scroll up from bank 3 to bank 4, it's probably not visible on this because the colour's not coming out on the video, but the bank light comes out on here as a different colour. Bank 4 is green. If I go through bank 5, it's purple. Again, I'm not sure if those colours are coming out. I can also jump banks on this one or hold down that button. This is a custom one-off made MIDI controller. You won't find these in the shops anywhere. It's actually built using an Arduino microprocessor. Anybody with a bit of electronics knowledge could probably knock something up like this. How it's connected to the player I'll cover in a moment. Another bonus feature built into it is this. Because we're only limited to 2 effects pre and 2 effects post on there, you can quite easily use them all up, especially if you're coming from a full-blown rack or stage where you've got 4 pre and 4 post. I like to have delay and reverb post, but I also like to have another slot where I can do a boost, and that I can't do with this. However, I found a way around it. So we check out on the iOS editor, if we look at each rig, there's a rig volume somewhere here. And that rig volume, I can actually manipulate that by the 3rd button on my controller. If you can see that there, the rig volume goes between 0 dB and 3 dB. When I click that button, take a closer look. On, off. So I've got all my rigs set by default to 0 dB. And if I need to make the amp louder or quieter, I just go to the amp settings and set it on the amp volume there to level out all my slots. And then when I want that boost for any solos, I can just click on this button here, and I get a 3 dB increase, and I can set that to any level I want to. And that's done by sending out an NRPN Midi, non-registered parameter number. If you look at the Midi spec, you can find that details. And of course, when I select the next preset, it will come at the default save value of 0 dB. So I don't always start off with a solo. That's what I kick in when I want to. And these 3 little indicators here tell me I've got my gain on. So very useful. You can actually get the display of the rig name using Midi and system exclusive, which I'll come to in a little video in a few minutes. But for now, what I find really useful is having the bank number on there and the patch number and the ability to give myself a 3 dB boost without using any of the effect slots. I'm not very good at remembering the bank colors on here. We know bank 1 is blue, bank 2, but I can't access bank 6 to 10. The only way to do it is to get to bank 5 and then scroll upwards to get there. So I'm hoping that comes out in the Profiler firmware update in the future. However, on this one I can do it. I can go all the way through, jumping banks, all the way up to bank 9. I think bank 10's the last one. I want to get to bank 10, slot 5. I'll scroll back to bank 1, preset 1, or wrap round and reverse. Similar features can be done if you use the buttons on here. They can scroll up and down. I've now got those assigned to effects 1 on and off, and effects 2 on and off when it's assigned to it. So I've saved myself some buttons there. You could also plug in an external controller to do your up and down, or your effects 1 and 2 on and off. That's in the settings. Use the expression pedal on the back with a 2 TRS jack switch. But I've got that saved, so I can still employ that, or put an expression pedal on here, and I'll still retain control of effects 1, effects 2, boost for my gain solos, and up and down my slots and banks. Incidentally, if you're wondering what MIDI interface I'm using to connect to the player, it's this. It's the aptly from Amazon. A fairly simple device, not all that sturdy. The cable's a little bit flimsy, but for light use it should work. That's MIDI in and MIDI out for the player, and the USB connection which plugs on the back of the unit. This was recommended. One of the forum admins uses this particular device, and that's what I went for on his recommendation. And a little L there just to remind me which way up it goes into the device. So here's another project you might be interested in, just to show the potential and capabilities of the player itself and what's been implemented, like the big units, the rack and stuff. The actual names of each preset is still stored within. We can't access it, obviously, because there's no screen. A lot of people have moaned about there being a lack of display on the player. I think that's one of its strengths, the fact it's a compact unit. However, you can actually get, with the right gear and a bit of information, you can get the names of the presets out there. So we've established that once we connect to the editor, what goes on in the editor. If we change the preset, the patch name is shown at the top of the editor there. Here's something I started quite some time ago and I've since abandoned, so don't quiz me on it because I've pretty much forgotten what I've done there. I built a MIDI controller using another Arduino, but uses MIDI in and out. I'm still using the aptly MIDI cable to connect to the player, and what I can do from this, it's essentially a MIDI controller that controls the presets on here. So if I select, preset 2, slot 2 comes up, and 3, and so on. I can scroll up and down the banks here, and in the corner I've got the program number, the bank, and the preset number, which I can choose wherever I want, and then select the new one. With the power of system exclusive, I can actually call up the state of some of the effects buttons, and more importantly and impressively, the name of the preset. If I hit this one, it sends out the system exclusive message to the player, retrieves the name and brings it back onto the screen by doing that. So we look over here. If we choose a new preset, if I go, at the moment you see it's on wah dirty morph equals del. So if I choose number 2, we've got morph equals del expression pedal wah, and if I press enter over here, it retrieves the name. Let's try that with another one. So let's go to bank 3, preset 3, which is grit drive morph equals del. That's just my name, it's encryption. I know what it means. If I enter over here, there's the title. And similarly, the A button, or is it the B? Sorry, yeah, the B button, you can see is toggling effects 1 and off. And the one I've got assigned to the delay button is effects 2, which is also the delay on there. Okay. So if I choose a different preset, number 2, obviously the screen's not updated yet. It's called morph equals del expression wah. Press enter. There we go, and the name's there. So with a bit of technology, obviously it's very bulky. If you're going to have something this big, you might as well have bought the stage. But it is possible to get this, the slot names from the player via the power of MIDI to a device that will deal with the information. So obviously that's a big step up gear-wise. So that's down the aptly. What's happening on there, if anyone else is interested, on this, it's an 8-pin MIDI DIN cable. There's MIDI in and MIDI out, and a kind of a phantom power supply that powers this unit. That runs to a splitter box, and that goes out to the aptly MIDI device I was showing you earlier. And a power comes down the MIDI cable to power this unit. It doesn't go that way, it's kind of blocked. It's a one-way path, so it doesn't go back to the Kemper. There we go, the power of MIDI and the capabilities of the player, and there's a lot to be tapped into. So those guys at the Kemper, give them credit for what they get up to, and all these hidden secrets that are there just for the taking. Over and out.